Chapter 5. The North Star. Leading with Purpose and Faithfulness. Leadership is not a title. It is a trajectory. Without a defined purpose, a leader is merely a drifter, a ship without a rudder, vulnerable to every shifting wind of public opinion and every rogue wave of circumstance. In the chaotic theater of modern governance, where 24-hour news cycles and social media trends dictate policy, it is easy for leaders to lose their way. They become reactive rather than proactive. They become managers of crises rather than architects of the future. Purpose is the gravitational force that holds a leader together. It provides the clarity to say no to good things, so that one can say yes to the right thing. It is the internal compass that remains steady, even when the external world is spinning out of control. The clarity of the I must. We see this razor-sharp focus in the life of Jesus Christ. From the very inception of his ministry, he was never confused about why he was here. He did not come to build a political coalition, to overthrow the Roman Empire through force, or to win a popularity contest. He came to seek and save the lost. There is a profound moment in the Gospel of Luke that illustrates this. Jesus had just performed miracles, healing the sick and casting out demons. The crowds were ecstatic. They wanted to keep him in their town, to make him their local celebrity, perhaps even their king. It was the perfect setup for a successful political career. Most leaders would have stayed. They would have capitalized on the momentum. They would have built a headquarters and started a movement based on their popularity. But Jesus refused. He looked past the adulation and declared his purpose. I must proclaim the good news of the kingdom of God to the other towns also, because that is why I was sent. Luke chapter 4, verse 43. Note the phrase, that is why I was sent. Jesus was driven by a divine mandate. He was immune to the seduction of fame. He was immune to the pressure of the mob. Even when the shadow of the cross loomed, he did not flinch. His purpose was not survival, it was redemption. He understood that he was on mission, and anything that did not align with that mission was a distraction. Faithfulness, the discipline of staying. Purpose sets the direction, but faithfulness provides the fuel. In leadership, there are seasons of drought. There are times of doubt when every decision seems to backfire, and every ally seems to flee. When a leader expects 100% approval before moving forward, he will wait forever. History teaches us that consensus is a myth. Conviction is a necessity. The true test of a leader is stamina. Can you stay true to the mission when the applause stops? Can you remain faithful when the vision demands a price you did not expect to pay? Faithfulness is not a passive resignation. It is an active defiance against quitting. It is the ability to remain loyal to one's mission, values, and commitments, even in the face of insurmountable obstacles. Jesus demonstrated this in the Garden of Gethsemane. The cup was bitter. The agony was real. The temptation to abandon the mission was visceral. Yet he prayed the prayer of the faithful leader, "Not my will, but yours be done." Luke chapter 22, verse 42. He remained faithful to the mission, even when it meant death. The Paul paradigm. The long obedience. We see this same grit in the Apostle Paul. If Jesus is the model of purpose, Paul is the model of endurance. Paul's leadership resume was a catalog of suffering, shipwrecks, beatings, imprisonment, starvation, and betrayal. He was stoned and left for dead. He was bitten by snake. He was abandoned by friends. Yet, at the end of his life, sitting in a cold Roman dungeon awaiting execution, he did not brag about his wealth. He did not list his titles. He bragged about his stamina. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. Paul understood that leadership is a marathon, not a sprint. It is not about how you start with fanfare and confetti. It is about how you cross the finish line. In African leadership, we have many who start the race with energy. They announce grand visions. They launch 100-day agendas, but few finish with their integrity intact. We have leaders who are faithful to their pockets, faithful to their godfathers, and faithful to their tribes, but they are unfaithful to the purpose of the state. Moses, the burden of the vision. Moses' life offers another profound lesson in faithfulness. From the moment he stood before the burning bush, he knew his purpose. Let my people go. But the journey was a nightmare. He faced opposition from Pharaoh, the most powerful dictator on earth. But worse than Pharaoh was the skepticism of the very people he was trying to save. The Israelites complained, rebelled, and threatened to stone him. They begged to go back to slavery in Egypt because they missed the and garlic. How do you lead people who do not want to be led? How do you remain faithful to a vision when the beneficiaries of that vision despise you? Moses persevered because he trusted the one who sent him. God had promised, "I will be with you." Exodus chapter 3 verse 12. For 40 years, Moses walked through the desert. He died on Mount Nebo, looking into the promised land but never entering it. Yet history records that he was faithful in all God's house. He did not build a personal empire. He built a nation. His faithfulness set the stage for the next generation to claim the victory. The Nehemiah parallel, building in a time of war. There is no biblical figure more relevant to the current Nigerian situation than Nehemiah. He was a builder, but he was forced to build in a time of war. Nehemiah's purpose was clear: to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem and restore the dignity of God's people. But as soon as he started, the opposition began. Sanballat and Tobiah, the terrorists of the ancient world, used every trick in the book. They used mockery. They used intimidation. They threatened to assassinate him. They accused him of rebellion against the king. Nehemiah did not fold. He did not negotiate with terrorists. He did not hold a peace summit with Sanballat to appease him. He organized the people. He armed the workers. They built with a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. He declared with absolute conviction, "The God of heaven will give us success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding." Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 18. The wall was finished in 52 days. Why? Because the leader refused to be distracted. He refused to come down from the wall to argue with small men. The enemy within. The Nigerian reality. Today, Nigeria, and indeed much of Africa, is at war. We are under siege by institutionalized terrorism. Since 2009, the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast has metastasized. It has birthed bandits. The Fulani herders attack and kill people for fun across several northern states. There has been rise in insecurity in the southeast, and the southwest is not immune to all of these maladies. It looks as if we are in a hopeless case, an endless war, with invisible non-state actors. But the most dangerous enemy is not the one in the Sambisa forest. It is the one in the seat of power, people who use the position to aid and abet insecurity in our country. A governor in the Northeast recently dropped a bombshell, revealing that there are collaborators within the system, politicians, security chiefs, and civil servants who benefit from the chaos. The insurgency has become an industry. There are people in high places who profit from the blood of the innocent. The more the problem festers, the more money is budgeted for security votes, and the less accountability is demanded. We need a Nehemiah. We need a leader who is ready to call a spade a spade. We need a commander-in-chief who is faithful enough to the purpose of the nation to purge the system of these saboteurs, regardless of their political connections. We need a leader who is not afraid of the Sanballats in the political elite. Nehemiah was never afraid of being accountable. True, purpose-driven leaders do not hide behind national security to cover up incompetence. Faithfulness in the developing world. In many developing countries, faithful leadership is a scarce commodity. The temptation to compromise is overwhelming. The pressure to loot is systemic. When you try to do the right thing, the system fights you. However, it is in these very contexts that faithful leadership is most needed. The faithful leader refuses to be swayed by the temptations of power, wealth, or popularity. They remain steadfast in their commitment to their purpose, serving the people and advancing the common good. As leaders in the developing world face the pressures of governance, business, and community building, they must understand that their purpose is not to amass wealth or personal influence, but to serve others and create lasting change. Faithful leadership is not just about the actions of today. It is about the legacy one leaves for future generations. Jesus, Moses, Nehemiah, and Paul all led with unwavering faithfulness to their purpose, and their leadership continues to inspire us today. Conclusion: faithful leadership may not always be glamorous. It may not be rewarded in the short term. You may be criticized. You may be persecuted. But it will leave an indelible mark on those we serve. True leadership is not measured by titles, wealth, or fame, but by the faithfulness with which we fulfill our God-given purpose.